Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Isavasya Upanishad is the first text that Gurudev did in that Ganesh Mandir when he did his first yagna in Pune. And so it's really a beginning. It's where we start our study of Upanishad. But if you see Gurudev's commentary on Isavasya Upanishad, the first verse starts halfway through the book. Because before starting, there's quite a bit of background that's needed, especially since we do it a bit differently in today's world. In the Vedic culture, they went off to Gurukul at a very young age, and they were already introduced to this knowledge. They lived their lives as per the principles of what they studied in the Gurukul, exhausted their vasanas, fulfilled their desires within the means of dharma, and then when they were ready, they left it all. And so when they start their journey, even as a young kid, they know that the goal one day is to leave it all. And then they go in search of a guru and sit at the Guru's feet. Upanishad means going near the Guru and then sitting down. And this act of reaching Guru and sitting down is like last chapter. There is now nothing more to do. And it's a very different mindset to how, in today's world, we listen to Upanishad. I mean, if you take today, most of you are going to run off to work straight after this class. Get onto the tube or traffic or, the call or the drop-offs, the pickups, the emails, the WhatsApp. It's such a different mindset to reach Guru, sit. And so the mindset of Upanishad is one of calm. But more important, it's one of content. Yeah. And I think that's what really makes Upanishad so incredibly powerful. The hunger that the student has when they go to the Upanishad is knowledge. Isn't anything left to do? All I want now is to experience what's being said in the Mahavakyas. And so, all that comes before this mindset has briefly been explained in this commentary by Pujya Gurudev before the mantra starts. Even if you look at the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita commentary by Puja Gurudev, there's so much preparation that goes into. This week we don't have the luxury of time to do all of that. And so I'm going to be diving straight into the actual verses. Isavasya comes in Yajurveda, in the mantra section, and each of the Vedas have their signature Shanti mantras. So starting with Purnamada was because it's the mantra for Yajurveda and the Shanti mantra that starts Isavasya. And Gurudev chose this Shanti mantra to be the one we conclude all our sessions with, because it's just so potent. To reflect just on this Shanti mantra. All the Shanti mantras we have are beautiful. Like no one is less than the other. Of course, all serving different needs and requirements. Gurudev chose Sahana Bhavatu as the starting of all our classes because really it encapsulates the coming together, the wanting to learn, the getting along. And so we start with that intention. Yeah. And when we end, where he wants us to end is here. And just the first word, Purna, already gives us quite an indication of where to end. Purna means complete. And wherever we start, the ending is Purna. And that in itself already helps us to have this sense of, yes, this is what I'm contemplating on, Purna. Again, so different from our everyday mindset. Our everyday mindset, we are motivated, inspired, and propelled forward with, I want. If you haven't already, I want the cup of coffee. Then, want to beat traffic. The other day somebody was driving me and sped it up every time there was a traffic light to not get the red light. I want. What? To get there faster? Or just feel that sense of, beat the red light? Maybe I'm not even in a hurry, but I want. Thrill, power, sense of accomplishment. How much I want is just in beating that red light. We go through our lives with the mindset of, I want. In the smallest actions. And then, of course, in the bigger actions. Right? In where we choose to live, whether it be the suburb or the country, I want. In the holidays we choose, I want. The names we choose. I want is a mindset of, I don't have, which is a mindset of, I am incomplete. Desire assumes incomplete. That's what we've assumed we are. Maybe not consciously, but the very fact that we're running after things, reaching for things, is proof that we operate from incomplete. But we end. Why are we running after? Since we're feeling incomplete, the desire for complete is evident. If I was okay with incomplete, no need to reach. No need to do. But we can never be content with feeling of incomplete. Ever. It's not our nature. We even complete, if we're waiting for something, even if we wake up in the morning, I know I do this, it's a silly thing, and it's 3 minutes to 5. Eyes are open, I know the alarm's going to ring. Stay in bed. Till 5. Why? Complete. Or when we're collecting things. We're constantly trying to complete. Oh, this wonderful rings on our watch. Complete. Our nature is that we want Purna because we know in essence that is what we are. And so this Shanti mantra that we are very familiar with because we end every class, even our Bal Vihar classes end with Purnamada, so we heard it, but maybe don't quite contemplate on it. If we take even just this one mantra and contemplate on it, it would significantly change the way we think. So the Shanti mantra, Om Purnamada, Purna, complete, Ada, that. That is complete. Purnam idam. Idam, this. That is complete, and this is complete. We could stop here. We don't even have to finish this mantra. Because Upanishad's purpose is to help us to see the oneness between Jivatma and Paramatma. The essence of divinity is seeing oneness. Purnamada, that is infinite. That meaning, in the most simplest way, that is something which is far. As we study Vedanta, we know that is that which is the cause of this. When we study Mahavakya, we know that is infinite, immutable, timeless, nameless truth. Even in Tat Tvam Asi, Tat is that. That refers to what I do not know right now. So in a way, because I don't know it, it's far. But it's not physically far. It's just far from my grasp. That is Purna. This is Purna. What's this? Me or Nia? Yes, Nia. This is whatever we're saying this to. Firstly, world, this. And then this. Nearest, closer. Purna also complete. Purna means complete. How would we define complete? If we've eaten enough and we are content, meal is complete. Is that how we define complete? Finished a project, complete. Enough? Is that enough to define complete? Yeah. At the very end. I say Purna at the very end, which means nothing more. It's only Purna when there's nothing more. So if I've eaten and I'm content, but I still want dessert, not Purna. Project over, and I'm already excited by the next project, not Purna. Purna means full, and they can only be full. This is one of the ways that it's so incredibly beautiful to think about that. I can only be full when there's no barrier. Usually when we think about full, we think of something and filling it up. Yet the meaning of full is there's nothing there. There's just fullness, which means infinite. Nothing there means no boundary, no way to restrict it, no way to hold it. Infinite. Purna Ada. That is Purna. That is infinite. Purnam Idam. This is infinite. We already know mathematically there cannot be two infinites. That is infinite, this is infinite means that is this. Within the first two words of this Upanishad, we already have Mahavakya. We already have everything we need to know just here in these first two words. That is this, and that and this is both Purna. If we just meditate on that, I am Purna. The feeling of fullness changes everything else. If we lived feeling Purna. When we live feeling I want, then we live thinking I have to, I need to, I want to. That can, desire causes so much emotion, it will lead to stress, causing all of those emotions. Emotions means restlessness in the mind. If I'm thinking, I am Purna, there can be no desire. So what will I do? But more importantly, how will I do it? When I want, how do I do that action? Versus I don't want. Versus I am Purna. Upanishad's not meant to Upanishads are not an academic pursuit. Upanishads is to sit with this thought and hold it in our mind until it unveils its true meaning to us. I am Purna isn't a logical thing. It's a being. If Upanishad says, I am Purna, then to sit with this until I experience it as my being. If we think of today's world and how many problems our children go through, how many problems the youth go through, and then even as we continue, one of the main problems is this feeling of inadequacy. Yeah. This feeling of inadequacy comes now in so many different forms. Imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, anxiety attacks, depression. So many forms, right? This feeling of inadequacy. The Vedic culture, they go into Gurukul and they learn, I am Purna. Why am I doing everything else? Because it can be done. Not to prove anything. I already am Purna. Then everything I'm doing is playing, experiencing, discovering, observing, enjoying. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate. From that infinite, that Purna, if you take out, Purna alone remains. And then the last bit, from that, Purnasya Purnamadaya, if you put back into that infinite, Purnameva Vasishtate, infinite alone remains. Taking away from infinite. Logically, we couldn't even think of an example of this. Because by definition, infinite has no boundary. We have no example that doesn't have a boundary. Even if we think of ocean, which is usually the example that is used, ocean has boundary. The shore we can see, we're seeing the boundary, but that's usually the example used. Take away from the ocean and the ocean is still so vast. And we're every country now reclaiming land, taking away from the ocean. And then water levels rise and all that land gets reclaimed by the ocean. Take away from the ocean and it doesn't reduce the ocean. But the example is limited because we know ocean is limited. What do we know that's not limited? Air can't be taken. Space can't be taken. And how to even understand this concept? Take away from Purna, and Purna alone remains. There's no physical example that we can refer to. So again, Upanishad has to, we sit, take away from fullness. What does that even mean? Can we take away from fullness? So let's go to a very gross, basic example. I'm full. I've eaten well, content. Can we take away from that? This is physical full, right? My stomach full. Can I take away? I'm very happy to see thinking faces. It's my most favoritist thing to see in the world. When else are we full? When our hearts are full. Take away from fullness. Can we? How does that work? How do we take away from fullness? If Upanishad says it, it's true. This is how we study. If Upanishad says it, it is true. We have to sit and think, how? How is it true? And we keep trying until we figure out, how is it true? Can I take fullness? Can I take infinity? Can I pluck out a piece? Necessarily not. Because if I could pluck out a piece of infinity, it's not infinite. See how subtle Upanishad is. So if I can't take out of Upanishad, if I can't take out from infinity, what does this line mean? We feel we've taken. Maybe an example that we can relate to. We go to Guru, we sit at Guru's feet, and we feel we've taken. Has Guru got any less? Isn't that beautiful? Can we take away anything from Guru? Guru remains complete. Yet I feel I have taken. And the feeling that I have taken is because I feel I am different and separate from Guru. That is infinite, this is infinite. Guru is infinite, I am infinite. But I feel Guru is amazing. I'm not. And since there's the feeling of difference, they can be the feeling of taking from. The feeling's not truth. It's just a feeling. It's an experience. Give back. Maybe now the Guru example doesn't work because we can't really give back. If I give back too, if we go back to the ocean example, rain falling into the ocean makes the ocean more? Doesn't. But again, the examples are so limited. Where else can I give back where it's complete? Physically, there's hardly anything we can refer to. And even if we go back to heart feeling full and then I give more love, do they become more full? So intangible, so difficult to measure. But if we go from the logic that I'm not different and so I can't really take, then necessarily I can't really give back, and so it was always just complete. And the giving and the taking and the is just perception. Me being different is just perception. And we see this within our one day. Right now, we all awake. I'm actually quite impressed. Everyone here is awake. Very often in Vedantic classes, not everyone's awake. In waking state, we have one perception of the world. We slip into dream. We have another perception of the world. We slip into sleep. We have another perception of the world. Yeah. Which one's real? Very good. Thinking faces. As per the laws of Vedanta, if it can be negated, it's not real. Yeah. Did dream negate waking? In the same way waking negated dream, deep sleep negated both negate deep sleep. None are real. Oh, wonderful. Everything we experience isn't real. This is great to know. It's really good to know this, because we get so hung up on what we're experiencing. Yeah. I'm feeling like this. And we get so absorbed in that. We create one whole big TV series of me feeling like this. It's not real. If I change how I'm feeling, that's also not real. Yeah. Feeling of incomplete is not real. The only thing that is real is Purnam Ada Purnam Idam. That's complete. This is complete. Everything else I'm experiencing, just perception. Reality is, I am complete. Such an important thing for us to know. Such an incredibly important thing for us to know. We give so much weight and importance, time and energy to what I am feeling, what I want. I mean, really, think about your life. Energy is all directed to, if we have the slightest bit of pain in our body, if our health is a little bit, all our energy gets directed to fixing it. We have a slight drift in a relationship or conflict in a relationship. Maybe we're not putting energy into fixing it, but we're definitely putting energy into thinking about it. That's also unusual, that we don't put in energy to fix it, just think about it. So much time, so much energy, so much importance. So much reality. That's what we're doing. We're giving it so much reality. when very clearly the only thing that is Purna. You can't take it away, and then you can't put it back. Because it never not existed. Yeah. I turn away from that completeness, from that fullness, from that infiniteness. I turn away. In my perception, in my understanding. And therefore, I return to. So, the second bit of Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya is me. Is me wanting to go off, explore, me forgetting, and then me coming back to what I always was. We come back to what we always were. Because the going and the coming was perception. An experience in our thoughts. That's all it is. It's just an experience in our thoughts. 1 minute I'm thinking, I am infinite. Next minute I think, I am this limited jiva with these many problems. One thought. I go from infinite, divine, complete to miserable in one thought. How talented are we? How incredibly powerful are we? One thought. And so to return to the thought of Purnamidam, I am complete. I've actually used this as my sadhana very often. In life's journey, so often we get frazzled. Something like, if that's not my specific talent. I have talents, all of us have talents, but we don't have all talents. So sometimes I'm sitting in a room, and this is not my talent. And then everyone starts to sound very intimidating. We can start feeling very small. Because we don't know. Close eyes. Purnamidam. I am complete. Open eyes. Do I suddenly understand what they're saying? No. But empowered. I don't have to understand what they're saying. They understand what they're saying. Do. It's applicable in the smallest of situations. We get so overwhelmed, right? Life can become so challenging. Responsibilities weigh heavy on our shoulder. And sometimes that feeling of, it's too much, I can't. Maybe it's actual physical things, right? Like maybe financially. I mean, I have to get the rent paid, I have to get the school fees paid, I have to get the loan, the mortgage still has to get paid, I have to still get whatever. Sometimes there's so much financial stress and we're thinking, I can't. Or sometimes it's just emotional. One person said one thing and then the second person said another thing. And then I thought about those two things at least 2,670 times. And then I'm thinking, I can't deal with this relationship. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Purnam idam. I'm complete. There's no I can't in complete. Of course I can. I'm complete. Doesn't matter how big the problem is. I'm infinite. Problem's got nothing on me. These mantras can be lived in our everyday life with all these small chota problems. But that's not how these mantras are meant to be lived. These mantras are meant to be in our seat of meditation, when we actually ready to let go of that thought that keeps me from Purna. What keeps me from being Purna? Just that thought, replaying in various ways. Why would I keep myself from Purna? When I'm ready to just sit with that thought and not let it be disturbed. That's Upanishad. Upa, coming close. Ni, sitting down. Nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. But stay in this thought of Purna. To stay in this one word. But it's not just a word. It's who I am. It's truth. The word truth is so sacred. Even just that, to accept truth, be truth, want truth, is this beautiful mindset of Upanishad. And we've only just touched on the Shanti mantra. And then every Shanti mantra ends with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Most of you are familiar with Chinmaya mission, so y'all know Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, and Adhyatmik. Easier way to relate to it is the unseen. The first Shanti is for unseen. Everything that's beyond my control, cannot be physically perceived. from all those forces, Shanti. Second Shanti is all that is seen. Yeah. Those things around me that I can see that are potential obstacles. Shanti. And the last Shanti, me telling my own mind. Yeah. My own mind being willing. Because really, that's what it is. My mind being willing, my mind not being willing. It can be the most beautiful, profoundest satsang, and my mind's agitated. I have to pay the meter in the car. Yeah. It can be the simplest, some bhajan with the sweetest melody, the simplest of lyrics, and my mind gets so willing to be absorbed in it. Mm-hmm. So it's not Upanishad, but my mind's feeling Purna. It is Upanishad, and my mind is feeling samsara. And so Upanishad starts with this most beautiful Shanti mantra. And since it's one that we experience often enough, it's worth dwelling on. Sometimes I've noticed, and I'm totally guilty of it, busy day, meeting ran over, so much had to be said, still so much more has to be said, but now everybody has already started getting up, packing their things away, and then we're like, okay, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purna. Meeting over. From the divine to the ridiculous, right? Sublime to the ridiculous. That's what we do. This mantra is, we take this mantra to be a ritual. And one of the most common phrases we'll hear is, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And what does that mean? They don't like rituals, basically. And then what do? We make the mantra a ritual. Yeah. Rituals aren't a bad thing. They're not at all a bad thing. A ritual is a reminder or a way to trigger the mind to think about. And so Gurudev chose this verse to be the way we end every class. Because hopefully by the time the satsang is over, we're ready to sit and feel Purnamada, Purnamidam. And I'm sure many of you have experienced, after chanting, you're not ready to open your eyes. There's no desire to run around. We get just that glimpse of Purna. But the Shanti mantra belongs to the Vedas, and the Upanishad starts with the first mantra, and Upanishads are usually named after the first word that's being taught. Very often, there's a teacher, there's a student, there's a question, and the Upanishad's the answer. In Isavasya, we don't know who the teacher is. We don't know who the student is. We don't know the question. but it's still brilliant. It's found in the mantra section of Yajurveda. The mantra section is usually the bits where they are teaching upasanas and techniques, purifying the mind. No, yeah, that's mantra section. And it wasn't taken very seriously. It's the 40th chapter, it's the last chapter. Nobody actually really understood it. But since it was short, they chanted it with all the other mantras. The Vedic culture was an oral tradition before everything got written down. And they didn't understand it, but they knew how to chant it, and so it stayed alive. A lot of our Upanishads have disappeared. They've been forgotten. So much of our Vedas have been forgotten. But because this was the tail end of something they found useful, they continued to chant it, and then Adi Shankaracharya elaborated how beautiful these mantras are. So we'll chant the first one. Om Isavasya idagam sarvam Yat kinchit jagatyam jagata Tena tyaktena punjita Magradya kasya swidhanam. Once again, this mantra itself is extremely profound. You need not study the entire Upanishad. You can study just this one verse. It has 4 different components, which is a little bit unique. Usually Upanishads have more of a flow, but Isavasya is extremely structured, more so than most Upanishads. Isavasya is also considered the one that parallels the Gita the most. It's 18 verses. It's not exactly each verse is one chapter of the Gita, but there is definitely a very close correlation between the verses of Isavasya and the Bhagavad Gita. And Upanishads always start, and this is such a beautiful thing about our Vedic tradition. The rishis, enlightened beings that they are, saw everything as Brahman. And so when they started talking, they assumed you also saw everything as Brahman. In a way that's so comforting. That it really does show their vision. They're not looking at you thinking, deluded fool. Guru is actually living what the mantras are saying, seeing only divinity. And so the first mantra of every Upanishad is always the most potent, the most sublime, because Guru is assuming you are also enlightened, or just at the threshold. And then usually Guru sees confused look on face and simplifies, and simplifies, and simplifies. And so that's the pattern of every Upanishad. And so don't be surprised that we spend far more time on the first few verses, which have way more complexity, subtlety, and depth. Isha. Isha means ruler, governor, controller. Not often do we refer to Bhagavan as ruler? Maybe bhakti has taken over and we see Bhagavan as something far more lovable. Ruler seems to be a bit cold, but not necessarily. It's really our conditioning and our perception of how we see it. Isha means that which keeps everything in place. That which keeps everything where it needs to be. Now it's not sounding so cold. But it is. And a ruling, a governing. Isavasya. Vasya means a few things. It means to clothe or to pervade. Isavasya idagam sarvam. Clothe everything in Isha. More poetically, you'd say, bathe everything in Isha. It's not a statement, it's an instruction. Again, unusual for Upanishad. Upanishads don't usually give instructions. They just say what is and expect you to understand. But Isavasya idagam sarvam is an instruction. Pervade everything in your understanding, in your vision with Isha. Why? Actually, it can be a statement. Everything is pervaded by Isha. But it's not given as a statement, because that's not what we're doing. We're looking around the world and we sing, world. We look at ourselves and we see limited entity. And so it's given as a instruction. It's that change your perception. All of spirituality is changing perception. Nothing outside actually changes. Chair stays chair, floor stays floor. But here it's see chair as bathed in Isha. See floor as bathed in Isha. See each other as bathed in Isha. So this is homework. Till we meet tomorrow. Isavasya idagam sarvam. Instruction has been given by Guru. We cannot go forward until we follow. We should do Shanti mantra, but it's the beginning mantra, but we'll do it at the end also. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Shanti Shanti